You've heard about these guys. Okay? And we think we know what they are. And we've done a pretty good job beating these guys up and trying to figure out what God meant. And by the way, he spent 8 verses, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 8 verses to describe those guys. He goes on in another part to talk about that they're spirits, so that's why I put up there that, you know, it will be coming up that these are actually the spirits that are alive in the end time. Okay? Now let's take a look at the 4 horsemen. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I just want to point out to you who they are, who these players are. They are known spirits. That's what the Bible tells us about the 4 horsemen. All right, who's the first guy? Most biblical scholars will tell you that this is Christianity. They base that a lot on Catholicism because the Pope is always dressed in white, and white is a big deal with that. Jesus himself rides a white horse in when he comes back with all the angels. And the Pope, of course, has a white Pope-mobile, drives Alitalia has a white plane that he goes in. Everything is kind of white. If you ever watch a lot of Catholic and even Christian ceremonies and things, there's tremendous amounts of white. I mean, I know there's blazing color and stuff, but white seems to be very predominant. And when you read the description of what that horse is, it seems to play perfectly into the fact that this represents Christianity. Is Christianity a spirit alive in the end of days? Well, one, if you're a Christian, you know it is a spirit. And if you're here in the end of days and you know it, you say, okay, good, sounds like what it is. So who's this guy? Well, red, of course, has been associated with socialism. If you take a look at posters, if you take a look at almost everything, red is always associated with socialistic values and systems. Okay? Now again, there's all studies done on this. Most of you guys, I'm sure, have probably been through them, so I'm just kind of refreshing something here. Black has always been associated with capitalism. We talk about the scales and all the other things that are out there. So again, if you go back and you carefully read verses, as I showed you here, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, you would come to these conclusions. 2 of them seem to be political, financial, social type systems. These 2. Are they competing? Very much so. Very much the opposite ends of the extreme. We've got this one out here that we associate with Christianity. There's not much, again, I hate to make these kind of statements because we know how fallible they are. The debate's over. These are kind of what most of the biblical scholars want to talk about. But there's always been one question that they've been a little bit loose on. Who's this guy? Now, you've read it in the Bible. In fact, if you remember, Clint Eastwood did a movie called even Pale Rider. It's kind of what we throw out there. But this is what this guy has been called, depending on the version of the Bible that you have. Ashen, mottled, pale, grizzled. I actually saw that once, a bay horse, dappled. That's what he was called. What does that mean to you? Probably not much. It's been kind of a mystery. With all that we know about prophecy, the pale horse has been a real mystery. Well, the mystery, there it is. Anybody know Greek? I didn't until I looked it up, so don't feel bad. Anybody know Greek? It's chloros. That's, yes, very good. That's the word. It's chloros. Anybody know what chloros means? Yeah. Here's the thing. That word is used 4 times in the New Testament. 4 times. Here's 3 of them. I'm going to highlight a word there for you. In 3 of the cases, it was correctly rendered green. Green grass, green thing, or any tree, etc., etc. Do you know why it was rendered correctly? They knew what grass was. They knew what a tree was. They kind of got the impression and understood that it meant green. So they took chloros and said, these green things. Well, who loves green? Gee, you don't even need to know where that is, but do you recognize it? How about this one? Walk all around Jerusalem, and what you see are green everywhere, doors. Okay? Know what that is? That's the Empire State Building on Ramadan. Oh yeah, that's a shocker, isn't it? Okay, take a look at these. This will give you another good idea. They do love green, don't they? Do we wonder now where we're going with this? It's not the pale horse, it's not the mottled horse, it's the green horse. Now, of course, when people did this 100 years ago, 200 years ago, when people translated the Bibles, who would have put a green horse? Now, have you seen mottled horses? Have you seen bay horses? Have you seen, yes, they exist all over the place. Nobody ever saw a green horse, so it was never translated that way. Now reread the sentence. I looked and behold, a green horse. And look at the things that this does. To kill with sword, with famine, with pestilence, by the wild beasts of the earth. Key factor right here. Gives them power over a fourth of the earth. Nobody knew what that meant either. So now we got a green horse. This, by the way, is in the Greek. I just put this up here, not for our Greek experts out there, but just so you can see the word chloros up there. That's what it is. Exactly the same word, exactly the same spelling as in the rest of the Bible. It's right there. Again, apologies to the color blindness. Okay, but we are talking green, so you better recognize it. Let's look at Islamism. That's actually a real word, by the way. I want you to take a look at that. Picture's worth 1,000 words. Are you getting it? They actually are now 1/4 of the population of Earth. And where do they have control over 1/4 of the population of the Earth? More than that, it's a powerful belief system. The rider is death. What follows is hell. To kill with a sword, the power. Those are the key phrases and the key words out there. And I think you can see what God was talking about. This isn't meant for the non-believers. This is not meant for folks that, have a passing fancy with the Bible. This is for the believers. This is for the people who want to know. There's enough there. There's enough there for you to understand what's going on. You probably have often talked to people who will talk to you about, that's scary stuff. I don't do that. I don't want to read that. I don't need to know prophecy. Everything's going to happen every way. God's in control. They kind of blow it away. I don't know about you folks, but I know when I get there, and I hope to stand before Jesus, and I know I got a lot to answer for, but one of the things I don't want to tell him is that I decided to just ignore 30% of his word. Because he gave it to believers for you to believe, to understand, to know that he is God, and to sit back and enjoy watching the show. We keep praying for God's peace. Lord, give me peace. Give me your peace. He gave it to you. He said, don't be afraid. I know you're going to be in a terrible time, but could you know that I'm in charge? I'm telling you what's happening because only I can tell you that. No, it's me. If you're mine, you're okay. That's a whole different perspective. So now you got 4 horses. You got capitalism and you got communism, socialism. They oppose each other. Look at the other 2 spirits, Christianity and Islam. There's your battle. And they are competing in the end times. Look how God reveals these things as we get closer and closer, because we've been studying this all along. The best scholars in the world. And I'm not telling you, I came up with all of this stuff. I mean, we've been doing some research and looking at other people that have been doing other great research. This is what we're up against. This is it.